Money Watch. Health benefits can be a major draw for attracting and retaining employees, but for small businesses, providing coverage can be difficult, especially when so many employers are still recovering from the COVID crash. A Kaiser Family Foundation health benefits survey found 99% of employers with at least 200 or more workers offer health benefits, but for firms with fewer than 50 workers, only 56% provide coverage. The smaller companies that don't offer the benefit cite cost as the top reason. Joining us now to break all this down is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Jill, thanks so much for being with us. So what can you tell us about the burden of healthcare costs on small businesses, and how can companies navigate the current environment?
I come to this with my own experience because I was a small business owner for 14 years. And I remember every year getting the note about how much costs of insurance would rise. And that has just continued apace. More than 80% of small businesses say that the rising cost of health insurance had actual impact on their business, whether that meant that they had to ask employees to shoulder more of the burden through maybe some cost sharing premiums increases or deductibles, or actually just increasing the cost of their goods or services. And I think this is particularly a really tough problem for those businesses with fewer than 50 employees, because while they're not mandated to offer that, the health care benefit has become such a standard benefit among workers that I think not offering it is a real problem if you're trying to attract and retain really good workers. So It's a burden, and these small businesses continue to struggle.
Especially in this competitive hiring market, right, Jill? Because we know labor shortages continue to be a huge issue for small businesses. So what implications does this have for businesses and consumers alike?
Well, look, I think if you're working at a small company that doesn't offer health insurance, chances are you're probably turning to the Affordable Care Act. But what we've learned in our experience is that while the premiums on the Affordable Care Act are not rising very quickly, that's still a big cost. And so what you may be forced to do as the worker is go to your boss and say, hey, you don't offer health insurance. I need a raise or else I'm getting out of here. And if you're the business, you better figure out a way to help your employees navigate higher costs. And I think that there's one missing piece of this, and that is that working for a small business has huge benefits. The small business owners have to remind their employees, hey, I can give you something that the big folks can't. I can give you more flexibility. I can allow you to do your job in a different way. I have a room for advancement in a small company that may see your path and your future a much brighter one. So I think from the small business perspective, you've got to highlight what you can offer. Otherwise, you could potentially lose great workers.
And so, Jill, what are some other things that small businesses need to consider and keep in mind as they try to remain competitive amid the great resignation, right, and the rising costs of wages and other benefits?
Well, listen, it may not be such a great resignation as a great reshuffle. And what we have now learned with more data in the 2 years since COVID hit is that while this recession was very deep and did impact millions of Americans, a lot of workers have figured out what they want and need from their work-life balance. Can you, as a small business, offer something different than a big company? Can you show people that being in a small business gives them value? It makes their voices heard. These are the kinds of things I hear all the time from people on my podcast when they come on the show. They'll tell me, both the small business owners and the people who work for them, that there is a family aspect to having that relationship that is long lasting, and people are quite loyal. Don't forget that while you're going through your hard time as a small business owner, remind your workers how important they are. And workers, just know when you work for a small company, you may have certain benefits that are tough to replicate, like actually having someone care about you.
That's always good when people care. Jill Schlesinger, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Sure.